Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3684. Today's date is November 4, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:37 p.m. Alright, today is a little bit unproductive day. There are a couple of things didn't really happen. What is exactly that? Okay, like I don't know why. Like basically today I just feel like that he demotivated. Okay, yeah, and I don't want to do anything at all. Like yeah, just like some of the days now, you just kind of like feels that you don't want to do anything at all. Yeah, that is that my day. Today is that day. Okay, there are a couple of things, like basically it's not fully unproductive. Okay, yeah, I did some sort of work. Okay, yeah, but still. Okay, so usually when I wake up at morning, I record Artifact. I did that thing, so that is good, checked. Then I read my book. Yeah, checked. Then I haven't really kind of like simply played those micro learning games like a Duolingo, Elevate, Lumosity, Brilliant. These are kind of like something the micro learning that I haven't really done that thing. Uncheck. Then after that, app development doesn't really did that. Unchecked. Then after that, I have to be kind of like a bit truly focus on kind of like a something content creation. Okay, yeah. Did that? Well, yeah, practically I did that thing. Yeah, so that is checked. Like basically I create the design that I make it, I didn't really love it, but yeah, it's like I just wanted to maintain the consistency, so I did it, checked. Okay, yeah. Then rest of the time I was kind of like writing my book. Okay, I was kind of like writing the world history book, and I was kind of like writing it not the way that you kind of like consider as a writing, means like that, like basically I'm collecting information through artificial intelligence, through ChatGPT, and kind of like simply paste it on. Yeah. Now also one of the biggest reason that why I'm not really kind of like a feel little bit of okay is because of that ki today is the 4th of November, and today ChatGPT became free. So I was like basically last night I was kind of like looking at the ChatGPT, when it gonna be free, and things and that, but it didn't really happen. I was kind of like consider that ki might be there is a kind of like a particular process to kind of like claim the ChatGPT free. Okay, yeah. Then I wake up in the morning, and since I sit in front of my desk and kind of like doing this, how do I make ChatGPT free? And then I kind of like simply like basically this kind of like a particular process, it took me like an entire morning. Like basically what exactly happened, I record my artifact, I read my book, and then after that I was constantly kind of like going this ChatGPT and how do I supposed to make it free and things and that. Okay, I watched multiple YouTube videos, and then I realized a way, and then I did it that. By the way, there is a OpenAI kind of like a simply enroll ChatGPT free in India for almost like a 1 year. Okay, so I have ChatGPT highest version. Okay, yeah, will be free for like a rest of the year, as well as kind of like only if the OpenAI kind of like launch another model like ChatGPT 6, then this would be kind of like even more crazier. Okay, yeah, so that is really good. Okay, yeah, because of I'm getting this ChatGPT 5, which is really good, so I can kind of like actually create my content with very like basically is this ki usually when I write the book, when I kind of like writing like right now I'm writing like a world history book, so each question is a kind of like a simply very deep inside. Okay, yeah, usually I was kind of like using Yup AI to kind of like simply make sure that I will get the valid information and kind of like simply make sure a perfect information. Usually ChatGPT 5 is available in free version, but for a limited. Okay, yeah. In Yup AI is kind of like simply the rating kind of like assembly AI. Means like that ki yup, AI is not kind of like assembly. AI is a site where there is almost like a 500 of artificial intelligence are a cluster in there. 500. I'm like not one or two, 500, 500, 700. There are so many AIs that you don't even knew it. Okay, yeah. So basically, yup, AI is a kind of like actually giving me very valuable information with very powerful AI that I can utilize without even have any kind of like subscriptions and things and that, with the image generation and everything. Okay, so which is really good. Okay, but yup, AI is actually work on credit system. Okay, yeah, means like that ki the way that you provide the feedback, it will kind of like provide you credit, and that credit and kind of like utilize for for your uses and things like that. Okay, so I was kind of like actually using the yup AI. Okay, but since the chat GPT free, then it would be kind of like assembly that I would not gonna worry about that ki my model will kind of like a downgrade things like that. I will always gonna use chat GPT 5 for kind of like assembly deep thinking and deep research and everything, so that I would get a perfect information. Okay, and as well as I'm kind of like assembly use chat GPT for kind of like assembly for word generation. Like it's really good for writing. Okay, yeah, means like that I kind of like put the prompt that key make this kind of like information for teenagers easy to understand, make it engaging and things and that. And no one can AI could kind of like do that thing. Chat GPT is kind of like one of the best AI could kind of like the way that he writes the text and the way that he predict the text, really good. It felt wow. Okay, by the way, one of the best AI is not ChatGPT, is Claude AI. Okay, Claude 4.5 thinking is a model name, by the way. Okay, yeah, like basically ChatGPT is not the ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a multiple models like ChatGPT 3, 4, 3.5, then ChatGPT minimal, ChatGPT 5, ChatGPT 5 high. These are kind of like a multiple models are actually kind of like a work to make the entire ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, and usually higher the number are kind of like simply getting very valuable information with very less amount of time with higher flexibility. Okay, yeah. So this is what it is. Okay, so same thing happened with the Claude is also AI, which has a multiple models too. And the Claude 4.5 thinking is one of the best AI. Like it has a kind of like a rank first, but usually when I try to use that thing, it takes so much amount of credit. It takes almost like a 350 credit to use this particular model. Yeah, and as also if I wanted to buy this subscription, oh my god, it's so much expensive. But still, ChatGPT 5 is a kind of like in second rank, which is kind of like a equivalent get of information that I'm getting from it. So I'm fine with that. Okay, yeah, it's not really that. If I really require a kind of like that particular model for kind of like simply utilize my purposes and things like that, then I would kind of like spend 350 credit, credit for using this thing. By the way, I'm using this Claude 4.5 thinking on yup AI. I'm not using Claude. Okay, yeah. Like basically the yup AI is a cluster of multiples AI, and in this particular the Claude is a kind of like one of the best AI which I could use. Okay, by the way, I could use Claude 4.5 thinking model in Claude interface, but it's subscription based. Okay, it's yeah, so whatever. Like I don't know you are kind of like to understand this thing or not, but yeah, it's really good thing. All right, yeah. So basically is this thing, my day is a little bit unproductive. Also I didn't really went to work out. Okay, yeah. Why? Because at the evening I went with my mother to kind of like something for, like I dropped my mother to there is some sort of religious place called Ambudas. I went there. So yeah, so I'm not really feel really good. Okay, I haven't really my workout, I haven't really done my app development, I haven't really done my any kind of like something the microlearning courses, nothing really at all. Whatever. And also I didn't really took a bath. Like I took a bath in morning, I haven't really took a bath in after in the evening. I usually take a bath twice. So right now I'm not feel really good. I'm not really kind of like a fresh enough. After this artifact, I'm gonna kind of like simply take a bath and things like that. By the way, in today's artifact, this artifact will be kind of like a bit more longer. Okay, yeah, because in this artifact, I'm gonna kind of like a walk for at least like an hour. Because of that, I haven't really kind of like a run and things and that. I just kind of like sit in front of my desk and kind of like doing this thing for almost like maybe 10-12 hour. Yeah, legitly I'm kind of like sitting in front of the desk. It just, my body is a kind of like simply just stiff. I just wanted to let little bit of movement, so that's why I'm kind of like simply do workout every single day. But today I missed that thing, so yeah, whatever. All right, so should we jump into the question? Let's go. Okay, where is this question? Alright, yeah. Question is, what if grief was shared collectively? Oh, okay, that is a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Okay, what exactly is this question? This is a what if question. Okay, yeah. Why am I asking this question to myself? I'm asking like basically is this thing, what if question is always really interested way to give the answer. It kind of like force you to think about that reality and try to create that reality from the knowledge that you have. Now when I create that kind of like simply when I construct that reality from the knowledge, from experience and everything, it's just my experience or my knowledge. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing that key, it's a kind of like a disclaimer. Okay, yeah, the information that I'm trying to tell you is not exactly right or is not exactly wrong either. It is just raw, unfiltered. It is just my opinion. Okay, so if you seek for any kind of like information or if you need any kind of like information, go to the internet, you will get. And also don't believe what I say. It's just my opinion, and opinion are subjective according to people and person. All right, okay, let's proceed. Now the question is that what if grief was shared collectively? Okay, what is grief? Grief means a sadness or things or that. Okay, what is actually the question? The question says that what if we can share our sadness to someone else? Can we do that? Well, we can't do that. Well, first of all, let's just couple of things we just have to understand first. Okay, can we share sadness to someone else? No. Can we share happiness to someone else? Yes. Why? Like basically, like okay, I don't really understand. Okay, give me example. Okay, first of all, okay, so if I'm gonna say I will gonna kind of like share the happiness, how do we kind of like share the happiness? Well, basically, simple example. Okay, yeah, let's just say tomorrow is my birthday. Okay, yeah, so I kind of like somebody called everyone, come to my birthday party. Everyone came, everyone danced, everyone kind of like somebody enjoy and things like that. So the moment a birthday party is a kind of like simply a place where everyone is kind of like sharing the happiness. Everyone are happy, everyone are kind of like simply okay, yeah. So in this particular event, every person are present in this party are sharing happiness, right? Yeah. Now let's take scenario number 2. Let's just say that a funeral. I went to funeral. Okay, yeah. So in the funeral, everyone is actually crying because of there is some sort of person actually die. Okay, yeah. Now, basically the person that die, I don't really kind of like connect that much. Let's just say a simple example is this thing. My friend father is died. Okay, yeah. Now I went to funeral. Now will I be a sad? Well, probably not that much. Like basically I would be little bit sad, but it would be not that much. Why? Because of that the interaction between me and my friend's dad, my friend's father is almost nothing at all. I might seen him kind of like only once or twice, or then after that nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. So the connection between me and my friend's father is almost nothing at all. So I wouldn't be able to kind of like simply feel that much sadness. Okay, yeah. Now this is the one thing. Now if I'm kind of like a change of scenario number first, in the scenario number first, I went to birthday party. Okay, I didn't know anyone at all, but still I would kind of like share happiness. Okay, because of kind of like only music and kind of like simply the beer and things and that, I would kind of like share the happiness. Even if I don't really know anyone, still I would be kind of like sharing the happiness. But if I went to funeral, I will not kind of like simply share the sadness. The let's just say my friend is kind of like simply so much sad because his father is actually died. I would not feel that thing. Why? Because we can't share the sadness. Okay, we can't share the grief and things like that. Okay, but why? Like, why we cannot kind of like share that thing? Why we cannot? Like first of all, ask the simple question: how we could share the happiness, but why we can't share the sadness? Okay, sadness or grief or things like that. Is because of that, like it's not exactly right. Like basically is this thing na ki if I'm gonna say that ki there is a party, the people who are kind of like in that party, they all are happy, even if some of the people don't really know each other, but still they could kind of like share the happiest moment. Let's just say I went to concert. Okay, so in the concert I didn't know anyone at all, but still I'm really happy. Okay, because of everyone are dancing, so I also dancing. I'm sharing kind of like a happiness with someone else. Also I'm getting happiness from someone else, so which is kind of like a really good. Okay, so the concert is kind of like a some event where I'm sharing happiness as well as I'm getting happiness too. Now let's take a scenario number 2. Early morning there is an earthquake happened in my city, and my entire house and rest of the kind of like buildings and neighborhood is actually collapsed and things like that. Now basically, and in this particular thing happened, multiple people are die. The people that I know, probably my parents or something, they kind of like a hurt. Okay, someone might gonna die, like my neighbors will gonna die and things like that. Now basically in this scenario, it's a very like a harsh moment. Okay, it's a loss of multiple things: property, people, everything. So I might gonna feel really sad. Okay, everyone will gonna feel really sad and things like that. So basically what I'm trying to tell you, in the concert everyone are actually kind of like sharing the sadness, as well as there is a moment when everyone feel really sorry, like in the concert everyone are kind of like sharing the happiness, but as well as when there is earthquake happen, everyone share the sadness too. Okay, like it's not really that like basically we cannot share the sadness. No, definitely not. We could share the sadness as well as we could share the happiness too. Okay, now basically is this thing that happiness is a kind of like a things that we could easily share. Okay, we have multiple things so that we could share, but sadness is a kind of like a things that very less people are usually connect. Okay, and why is that? Why is that? Like basically is this thing like there is very less consequences that actually available that we could kind of like share the sadness. It's actually happened when collectively every people are kind of like lost something. In the earthquake event, there is a kind of like a event where people around you is actually kind of like a lost something, loss of property, loss of people, loss of something. So everyone kind of like a sad and things and that. Okay, but these are moments are very rare. Okay, it's not really that kind of like somebody everyday earthquake happened. No, nothing really at all. Okay, as well as kind of like somebody way that our government and the way that we are living in society, we are everyone are try to kind of like make sure that such thing will not gonna happen. We are try to prevent not only just an earthquake, but kind of like make sure that the union destruction will not gonna happen that much. Now what's the union destruction? Like basically the combined destruction or combined like whatever things that kind of like make people sad. Okay, like basically let's just say that a pandemic or kind of like people are die because of disease and things like that. Okay, like these are such events are kind of like a very global event and things like that, and the doctors and governments are trying to prevent such a thing, that not let that thing happen and stuff like that. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing: there is a very less moment that actually exist where we could share the sadness. but there are so moment are exist for happiness, so that we would share the happiness, like the concert, birthday party, or there are so many things like a wedding, haldi, lot of stuff. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, we could easily share happiness is because of that ki lot of events are actually exist. Okay, yeah. Festivals and things and that, but sharing sadness is kind of like something depends on like a multiple, like it depends on kind of like a very unique thing. Example, that key, let's just say I went with breakup, like basically suddenly my girlfriend kind of like broke up with me. Now this kind of like a pain is kind of like somebody like what exactly is this thing. Okay, yeah. Now I am trying to kind of like a focus on sadness, that kind of like somebody how do we feel sadness and thing like that. Okay, yeah. Now in this particular context I'm trying to explain my opinion, my experience. Okay, yeah. Also I haven't really been on relationship, so I'm trying to explain as simple as possible as I can. Also I might not be kind of like a completely right, I might be kind of like completely wrong because of that key I haven't really get that experience. Okay, yeah. I'm literally focused on kind of like a relationship and breakup, so I'm kind of like really try to explain this thing so that why we kind of like a feel really sadness. Okay, yeah. Now simple example is this thing, that ki I am been on relationship for almost like 8 year, and suddenly my girlfriend is kind of like simply break up with me. Okay, yeah, for something reason. Now basically when this breakup happened, okay, yeah, I feel very devastated. Now let me tell you one thing, the breakup happened, when the breakup happened I didn't really feel anything at all. It's just kind of like just another day, that's it. Okay, yeah. The week after I realized that what I lost. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing, I don't know, have you ever kind of like a feel that thing na, ki when there is something kind of like a some destruction or something sadness or something lost happened, like let's just say there is a kind of like a, let's just say your parents are died. Okay, yeah. And you kind of like got the news that ki you are in the hospital and your doctor said that ki your parents is died. Okay, and now at the time you don't really convince that much. You know what is actually meaning of die, you know what is actually everything, but still it's just think that na ki your body and everything it kind of like feels that okay, yeah, like basically it's common, yeah. Okay, it's a very different thing, by the way. Every people kind of like interact very differently according to the situation, according to the way that they kind of like assembly way that they consume the information. Okay, yeah. Like some people are kind of like a cry out loud and everything, but I kind of like realize myself that key when the kind of like something lost, at the moment I didn't like kind of like feel that thing. Okay, I'm bit really focused on kind of like some person lost. Okay, yeah. Because I also knew like basically in my family there is a moti ai is kind of like a simply die. Okay, it's actually happened like almost like 100 years, no, not 100 year ago, almost like a 12-15 year ago. Okay, yeah. Then after that माझे मोठे वडील, okay, they also died. Okay, मोठे वडील and मोठी आई are kind of like a little bit close to me, not really that close, but somewhat something very close. Okay, yeah. They died, and when they die, like basically when I got the news, I just didn't feel anything at all. Okay, yeah. Also a couple of year ago there is a moment where my mother is kind of like almost died, almost like literally is this thing that na ki she went to some sort of surgery, and there is a kind of like some surgery went wrong. Okay, yeah. And because of thing my mother could die and things like that. Okay, at that time me and all my kind of like a family relative are kind of like went to the hospital and things like that. By the way, at that time I was kind of like simply maybe 11 and 12 standard, my age was almost like a 17-18. Okay, yeah. So I went, and I didn't really feel anything at all. Yeah, it's not really that ki I don't really love my mother or things or that no, nothing at all. It's like that na ki like I just don't feel that emptiness or kind of like a loss of something. It just feel like that ki kind of like somebody that just another day. Now why am I feel like that, or am I the only one feel like that, or everyone feel like that? I don't know, but I'm trying to explain. Okay, let me give you the context. Okay, yeah. And now, okay, yeah, my mother is alive, by the way. Okay, yeah. Like, she didn't die, she's alive. Okay, yeah. But it actually, kind of like actually I miss someone. Okay, yeah. Like माझी मोठी आई. Okay, माझी मोठी आई. I don't know how we're supposed to explain this मोठी आई. Big mother. There is no word for मोठी आई. Okay, yeah. Like my mother's big sister. Okay, that is called, I called as a मोठी आई. Okay, yeah. So I like basically the relation between me and my मोठी आई is kind of like a equivalent to like a mother. Okay, like basically she is also kind of like a my mother big sister. Okay, and she kind of like a died at, I was like a very child at that time, almost like my age was almost like a 14 15 probably. Okay, even less than that, I'm not really sure, but yeah, the interaction between her was kind of interaction between me with her is kind of like a not too much but not too less. Okay, yeah. Now basically this thing, when I got the news that my moti ai is kind of like a gone and things like that, I didn't really feel anything at all. I feel like that ki, like basically Maji Motiai kind of like a went to somewhere else. Like I feel like that ki Motiai kind of like simply went to another city, or kind of like a Mamacha Ghari or things like that, something like that. Because I didn't really feel the gravity, okay, yeah, of losing someone. And this is the first time I kind of like experienced that. This is the first time I experienced something loss. Okay, yeah. Now when she gone, after a week, I realized that ki my Motiai is actually gone. Okay, yeah. Now the effect is not really that much. Like basically I didn't really start crying after a week. No, nothing at all. But I feel that ki this is a kind of like a person that I haven't really seen. I won't be able to see her in rest of my lifetime. And this might be a kind of like a somebody feels something that ki loss. And at that time I feel that I feel that ki this is kind of like a grief. This is kind of like a grief. And it actually happened after a week. After some sort of time, I realized that ki this person I might not gonna see. Okay, yeah. Same thing happened with माझे मोठे वडील. But I was not really that much close to my मोठे वडील. मोठे वडील is also kind of like somebody my mother's big sister's husband. I also called मोठी आई and मोठे वडील. Okay, so मोठी आई actually died, and then after a 5 year, my मोठे वडील also died. Okay, yeah. And but I don't really feel that much connection with the मोठे वडील because I was not really that much close to. Okay, yeah. A couple of years ago, my grandmother is actually died. Okay, yeah. And still I didn't really have that many connection with my grandmother. Okay, yeah. Like she just die and just die. It just feel like that it's another day. Okay, yeah. So and has also couple of year before there is my grandfather is also died. I didn't really feel that much. Okay, just yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you, in my entire period of lifetime, there is only one person that I feel that I lost, and that is Muthi Ai. Okay, yeah. Now if I'm gonna say, okay, yeah, what is actually one of the closest person in my life is my mother. Okay, yeah. Now when if my mother is actually gone or kind of like die or things like that, well, it's a okay, it's very hard to like if I'm trying to imagine, it's like it felt really kind of like some sort of heavy inside of my brain and things like that. Okay, yeah. But still like I'm just thinking about her, and kind of like somebody just fucked up thing happened, like basically just my heads and things and that. Okay, I also realized that ki why this thing actually happened. Okay, I think that now it's all depends upon the where I feel that thing. Like basically when my Muthi Ai actually died, at that time my age was almost like maybe 14 15 or even less than that. Okay, yeah. So probably my mind is not really matured enough to understand what is the meaning of death. Okay, yeah. So probably that's why I don't really understand. But some people are matured enough to understand what is actually death. So when they got a news, they started crying over there because they realized the kind of like some gravity of death. Like since right now that you are kind of like experiencing right now, when I kind of like talk about when my mother is actually died, I feel something really heavy. Okay, yeah, and I kind of like really divert myself that I don't want to talk about this thing because it felt like that. Ki no, I might kind of like simply not feel really good. Same thing happened with my father too. Okay, I feel something that ki no, these are kind of like only very essential person, and if something happened with them, I just fuck up, dude. Okay, yeah. So basically, this is kind of like only that weight that I'm feeling right now. I think that is called kind of like only sadness. A sadness is kind of like something that ki usually came when you lost something. Okay, yeah. Now, lost something means what? Usually, is this thing when you lost money, would you feel sadness? Yes, yeah. I feel really sadness. Like a couple of years ago, there is someone who actually scammed me for almost like a 27,000 rupees for camera. Okay, yeah. Yeah, he scammed me. Okay, yeah. It was really devastated and things like that. It's been almost like a 27,000. I kind of like some scam and it just really fucked up. Yeah, I feel really sadness and things and that, but it's not really that sadness. Okay, yeah. The loss of money is a kind of like a somebody, yeah, it gives you sadness, but it's not really equivalent to a sadness of kind of like a somebody someone lost. Okay, yeah. It also depends upon the money is about what. Like let me tell you one thing. Let's just say that you kind of like took a loan for kind of like somebody for your house and things and that. Okay, yeah. You are have a kind of like somebody, you took a loan and probably is this thing someone kind of like somebody steal that money. Like basically is this things, there is a kind of like a robbery happen at your home and a robbery happened and kind of like someone stole your money. Now basically is this thing, the money that you kind of like took a loan for kind of like let's just say business purposes or for house and things and that, which kind of like something very essential for your life and things like that. But when you lost, it felt something really very sad. Okay, yeah, you might gonna cry but not that much cry, like a basically, yeah, but yeah, like a basically is this thing loss of money or loss of kind of like a somebody, you feel little bit of sadness is depend upon that what is actually value of money. Okay, yeah, value of money means I'm not talking about kind of like only how much money, no, value of money means like that ki how much money that matter to them. Like basically 2 lakh rupees loan for particular person so that he would gonna establish his business, the value for him for that money is much more bigger than basically kind of like the person who just lost kind of like a 2 lakh or 10 lakh rupees. Probably that particular person doesn't really feel, he feels something like sadness for he lost 10 kind of like only 10 lakh rupees, but probably the value for losing 10 lakh rupees is not really that much as compared to the person who just kind of like somebody doesn't really have that much amount of money and he took a loan for 2 lakh rupees for kind of like somebody for business and things like that. So yeah, I'm talking about that value. Okay, yeah. So basically when you kind of like somebody lost the money or kind of like somebody the loss of money regarding about the how much value that it connect with that money, you kind of like feel a little bit of sadness. But these are sadness are kind of like a little less than the losing someone. Okay, yeah, because when you lose someone, that grief is kind of like a much more bigger than that. Okay, yeah. Now this is kind of like let's talk about the money. Now let's talk about kind of like somebody breakup. Okay, yeah. Breakup is also equivalent to kind of like somebody giving grief. Okay, yeah. Now if I'm gonna say that ki I just kind of like had a breakup, like basically I was kind of like having relationship and kind of like somebody that ki suddenly she kind of like a breakup with me. Okay, yeah. So basically what is actually happened, like why am I feel really sadness and things like that? Well, let me tell you one thing that when this thing happened, like suddenly some sort of reason she kind of like a breakup with me. Now how much I feel, I would kind of like feel that probably just another day. Okay, yeah. Because she didn't really die, she's actually exist, but she's kind of like making sure that we shouldn't supposed to be kind of like make contact or things or that. Okay, yeah. Now first day is kind of like just a common, second day feel really something really common, but after a week I realize the breakup. Okay, yeah. Now if I want to talk about the breakup, you have to talk about the love. Okay, yeah. love is a very different emotion, and which is kind of like somebody creates a very different, unique thing that, okay, it's very hard to explain. Okay, yeah, but I'm trying to explain as much. Okay, yeah. Let me give you kind of like some context as comparison, so that I would kind of like making sure what is actually kind of like somebody. Okay, yeah. I love my mother. I love my girlfriend. Okay, yeah. I love my mother. I kind of like seen her since my entire lifetime. I am been with this girlfriend for almost like 8 years. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing, the value for me mother is much more bigger than value for my girlfriend. Is it right? No, it's not right. So value of girlfriend is much more bigger than value of mother? No, it's not even right too. What do you mean? Okay, let me give you context. Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing, that key usually our importance of the people depends upon how much value they have. Example, your mother always be a mother. If you kind of like a fight with her, she will always be a mother. Okay, yeah. She will not gonna do breakup or things or that, or she will not gonna lose. Probably she might gonna die, but still till the end of the life she is always be a mother. But your girlfriend is a kind of like a girlfriend that you have right now. If there is something fuck up happen, she might kind of like lose you, or kind of like some breakup happen. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, yeah, this is your mother, but when you are falling in love and things and that, your priority shifted towards kind of like somebody towards your girlfriend. Okay, yeah. But it is not kind of like somebody mentioned that your value towards mother is become less. No, it's kind of like somebody that our priority depends on time. Okay, yeah. Because let me tell you one thing, I've seen some sort of people that when they are kind of like have a relationship for almost like a 15 year 20 year, now they are married and things and that, now kind of like some people have kind of like some more value towards their mother, because their mother is a bit more matter to them. Okay, yeah. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing na, it's not kind of like which one is kind of like a bigger value, which person hold the bigger value and things like that. No, it's all depend upon when this thing happened. Okay, yeah. Like basically if this thing actually happened in kind of like somebody early at relationship, then obviously our more priority towards our girlfriend. Okay, because I like this particular person, and as well as this kind of like very new feeling. Okay, yeah. Now let me give you the context. Okay, yeah. So when I was with that particular girl, okay, yeah, I create so many memories. The way that we talk, like hours of talk, we spend kind of like so many things. Okay, we spend so much times and things and that and that. Now basically when we spend times and things and that is because of that I have a love for that particular girl, and as also she has kind of like a love for me. Okay, yeah. So basically we are actually somehow emotionally connected with each other. Okay, and this is something very different. Like basically this kind of like relationship is kind of like a far more different. That's why I'm kind of like really much admire to know about what is actually this emotion, because in my entire bit of lifetime, a relationship is a kind of like a feel, a love is a kind of like a feel that I haven't really understand. Yeah, like basically I fall in love with that particular girl, but basically is this thing, that girl didn't really like me that much, then after that I never really seek for any one girl at all. Okay, yeah. But I was kind of like one of the biggest regret that I have is that I never really fall in love, because right now I don't really understand what is actually the gravity of love. Okay, yeah. What is actually is this thing, how is bigger than that? I know it's much more bigger, but I can't contemplate the gravity of it, like how much big is it. Okay, yeah, because I seen movie, I seen people, I seen what they feel when they kind of like had a breakup and things like that. When they kind of like feel that much devastating when they are kind of like in the breakup, I realized that dude, what they lost, like they just had a breakup na. But now I realize that no, that is a way much different thing, dude. Okay, yeah, it's not about just a kind of like a breakup. No, it's about kind of like a loss of everything what they've been through, that their time, their memories and things and that. There is a good feeling. Like let me give you context. Okay, yeah, when you are kind of like fall in love with that particular girl, and when you are kind of like talking for that particular girl for hour and hour, you are kind of like creating something, emotions, a bond and things and that. Like it just kind of like considered as a bond. Like it just kind of like, let's just say, a connection between you and that particular girl. Okay, yeah. Now that bond is suddenly broke by this breakup. Now because of this thing, na, it just so like it just kind of like feel that key. Like what is actually meaning of loss? Like basically the meaning of loss is means like that, na, ki the emotion that I feel with that particular girl, I never really feel gonna that emotion with that girl in my rest of the life ever again. Okay, so this is kind of like simply is this thing. Like still I am trying to explain this thing, but I can't. Okay, because I don't have enough information about this, because I never really fall in love. So that's why I didn't really knew about that. Okay, yeah. Whoever the people is actually listening right now, dude, fall in love is very essential. It's really essential to understand what is at least this thing or that. Why then why are you not kind of like a fall in love, like go had a girlfriend, na? Yeah, but dude, it's just like that, na, ki my life is kind of like somebody at certain age where kind of like somebody career and everything is far more important than, yeah, and probably I don't know. I will have a girlfriend. It's not really that I would not gonna have a girlfriend. I would gonna have a girlfriend. But what I'm trying to tell you, for this particular context, I kind of like somebody feels that I have lack of information because I haven't really feel that thing. Okay, whatever. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing. What is actually sadness? A sadness means like that a loss of something, or kind of like somebody when you realize you loss of something. Okay, yeah. Usually is this thing, na, ki when you had a breakup, it doesn't really feel at the moment nothing really at all, but after a while, after a kind of like a couple of weeks, you realize that that particular person lost and things and that, you feel something like sadness. You feel that you started missing that particular person. Okay, yeah. And you missing that particular person, and you kind of like only don't really talk to her because that particular person block you from every possible way and things and that. So you just feel something really devastated and things like that. You kind of like feel something pain inside of you. Okay, yeah. Kabir Singh is a kind of like a movie that represent very much really good with the pain. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing, na, ki each person is kind of like a very different way to handle the pain. Okay, some people kind of like went to alcohol, some people kind of like do the work and things and that. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, there is just some sort of pain is actually happened, is that pain is a kind of like something that grief. Yeah, that kind of like something sadness, and they wanted to kind of like eliminate that sadness by kind of like distracting themselves for something, or kind of like somebody the alcohol and things and that, because alcohol kind of like a delusion, create the delusion inside your mind, and probably when this actually happened, then you kind of like didn't really think about anything at all. Okay, yeah. Also, there is also another thing. Physical connection, when you have physical with them, like when you had a sex with that particular person, it creates a bond very differently. Okay, now let me tell you one thing. Okay, you had a relationship, you talk, you kind of like spend so much time talking, and you spend so much time with things and that, but you haven't really had a sex. Yeah, your relationship is good, things like that, but when you had a sex, the connection, it's something very different, because it's just like that. I'm not talking about sex means like the penetration things and that. No, I'm not talking about that. Okay, this is kind of like simply a moment that you are not really kind of like protected by nothing, even not even clothes. You just completely you, and she just completely you. She's just completely her. Okay, yeah. There is no filter. There is nothing really at all. There is no wall. There is nothing really at all. And when you are kind of like having physical, you understand, you kind of like sense her by smelling her, by kind of like somebody like basically the way that you breathe and the way that she breathes is kind of like somebody became one. Like basically you just became one at that moment, and basically you can feel rest of the body. Okay, yeah. Like this is kind of like a feeling that, how do I supposed to explain it? It's a very it's definitely not look like a porn. Okay, like basically the way that it's seen in the porn, it's not, definitely not. the basically the people who kind of like a fall in love, and when they had a sex first time, the sex is kind of like a very less, but there is so much chemical reaction happening in their brain that they kind of like a first time they're interacting this thing, and it's felt something very different. It felt a connection, a physical connection. Yeah, there is a physical connection actually happened, like you are kind of like entering the penis into her vagina, there is a connection happened, okay, yeah, but these are just a physical connection. There is a mental connection happened with you and with her, and it is very different thing. Because let me tell you one thing, ma'am, ki you never really been on naked with anyone at all, and this is the first person that you are being naked with that. And when you are naked, you just, I don't know how to supposed to explain, it's just connection. Still I haven't really also I don't really understand the gravity of it, because I haven't really had a sex now. Oh my god, fuck. Sometimes I just kind of like a talk about some sort of shit that I just realized that I haven't really experienced that. Okay, yeah, the way that I'm kind of like I think that I am not able to kind of like provide you that much information, that what exactly that feeling, because I haven't really feel that, because I haven't really had a sex. Dude, you're a so pathetic person. No, I'm not pathetic person, dude. We gonna have sex. Okay, I will gonna really good sex, dude. I'm gonna do that thing. Okay, yeah. Just bear with me. And basically this thing, whoever gonna tell you, like basically these are kind of like exact information. These are kind of like something equivalent to information. I didn't really feel the practical experience, but still is this thing equivalent to that. Okay, there is a kind of like something connection happened between you and her. Okay, and that connection is lost when you had a breakup. Okay, yeah, when you had a breakup. Like basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. When you had sex with someone else, you looked at that, like after your sex, depends upon how good is your sex or how bad is your sex, it's up to you. Okay, yeah, but you looked at that particular person very differently. Now what exactly is this thing? What is exactly that? There is a particular experience that I feel, that I experience. Okay, there is a particular event, not event, there is a, okay, let me give you context. Okay, me, my friend's girlfriend, and entire group actually went to the wedding. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly happened? There is something very different happened. Okay, yeah. I don't really understand at the time, but I understand later. Okay, yeah. So me and my friend is actually kind of like sitting next to. Okay, and my friend's girlfriend is actually kind of like simply sit next by. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly happened? That okay, it's a very okay. It's not really hard to explain, but okay, yeah. Let me provide you the all over the information. Okay, yeah. My friend named Badal. Okay, yeah. Like basically entire group is actually kind of like went to wedding. Okay, yeah. Then like, should I supposed to be kind of like suddenly mention the name? I was kind of like suddenly, okay, I have to mention, it's not really that thing, but probably, okay, I'm kind of like a bit claustrophobic. I just kind of like mention the name. Okay, whatever. Okay, yeah, like basically Badr wouldn't be like that much. Okay, but yeah, okay, let me give context. Okay. I'm sorry, Badal. Okay, if I mention the name. Okay, yeah. But I feel that thing. Okay, I kind of like sense that thing. Okay, yeah. So me and all my friends are actually kind of like went to the wedding. Okay, yeah. Badr is also kind of like my friend too. Okay, he's a part of the group too. And Badal's girlfriend is a Prachi, is also kind of like his girlfriend. Okay, yeah. Now Prachi kind of like said something to Badal in ears. I don't know what she says. Okay, I was kind of like sit next to Badal. Okay, yeah. Now basically what exactly happened, that she kind of like simply talk with Badal something in his ear, and she kind of like stand up, and she and Badal like then kind of like simply Prachi is kind of like move forward and then come back and sit. Okay, yeah. and Prachi looked at the Badal, and Badal says nothing. And I just seen that thing. This is just a moment. That's it. Okay, that's it. Okay. Now I don't really understand what exactly happened at that moment, but there is a lot of thing happened at that moment. Okay, yeah. And that moment, I don't really understand at the moment, at that time. It just, this is nothing really at all. I was kind of like sitting. His girlfriend is kind of like somebody moved 10 steps ahead. Not just 10 steps ahead, and just kind of like went back. And just like, okay, I don't really understand what exactly happened. Okay. And it's not even kind of like the things that, it should supposed to be mentioned. But let me tell you one thing what exactly happened. Okay. After kind of like a couple of years after, I realized that why it actually happened. Okay. I'm not really sure is exactly happened, because I never really, I didn't really kind of like mention to them, but I think that it might gonna happen. Okay. I don't know what she says. I don't know what Prachi says to Badal, but probably is this thing that Prachi says something that have you seen any kind of like something the period marks on her dress? Okay, yeah. And she can't even see, because obviously why she can't, how she kind of like see her backward, no. So basically she tell her boyfriend Badal says that see, have you ever kind of like seen something? Okay, yeah, on her back, like basically on the period there is a kind of like a blood clotting that should happen from, yeah. So Badal said no. That's why she kind of like went 10 steps ahead. Okay, yeah. Then she come back and sit. Badal kind of like sees that, and Badal says no. Like there is no kind of like some red mark is actually seen on your dress and nothing like that at all. Okay, yeah. It's a very, very common thing. It's just very common thing. Okay, yeah. But it's way much bigger than that. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing now. When you had a sex with someone else, okay, yeah, you looked at that particular person very differently. Now, differently means what? Differently means that you can share a kind of like such information that kind of like somebody very very close. Only like no, you will not gonna kind of like share this information, not even with your best friend. But when you had a sex with someone else, okay, your boyfriend, things like that, you are kind of like sharing such information that is kind of like, let's just say that I had a kind of like a period or things or that, or kind of like a video, can you bring me the pads or things like that, or I'm not really comfortable, can you bring chocolate for me or things like that, or maybe I don't know. Like basically is this thing na the way that boy care for that particular girl regarding about that internal talks and things like that, as well as kind of like a girl is also kind of like a try to comfort that boy for regarding about everything. That's kind of like, I don't know how I'm supposed to explain this thing. Still I never really been in a relationship, I never really had a sex. Fuck. Did I say it louder? No, there is nothing that. That is a really good thing. Oh my god. Probably no one will gonna hear me what I'm trying to say. Like if you are kind of like hearing this thing on this kind of like somebody the audio file, that is okay. Yeah, but I don't want to someone kind of like hearing this shit stuff. Okay, dude, what the fuck were you talking? Like basically talk about stuff, talk about kind of like somebody the why does kind of like somebody the dude, I was kind of like, it's been almost like a 53 minutes. I was kind of like talking about the shit that doesn't really matter. Okay, yeah, the question is kind of like a very much different. The question actually says that what if the grief was shared by collectively? I was kind of like explain what is exactly grief and things like that, what is exactly sadness and things like that. Okay, yeah. So you understand what exactly is this thing, what is exactly sadness and things like that. Okay, yeah. Sadness usually comes when you kind of like loss of something. Okay. Something is a kind of like a little less, someone is kind of like something much more bigger. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing why we cannot kind of like share that thing, why we cannot kind of like share those grief to someone else. Like basically as I mentioned in the birthday party, even if I don't really know anyone at all, still I would kind of like be really happy and dance and things like that. But in the grief moment, why I'm not kind of like somebody feel that thing is because of that the memories. Okay, my friend had a breakup. Now he is sad because of that he will kind of like something that lose all the connection or break all the connection with his girlfriend, as well as break all the memories and things like that. Okay, yeah, the way that he spent time with his girlfriend, he kind of like suddenly he lost everything. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing, how do I supposed to know that what kind of like a somebody time he spent with had that particular girl? Probably not, na? Like basically these are the kind of like somebody in between couples, na? Okay, yeah, and these are should supposed to be in between couple, other person shouldn't supposed to be involved and things like that. Okay, so that's why if I don't really know what is actually gravity of that he was actually been through, or what kind of like somebody that what kind of like somebody that memories that he lost and things like that, if I don't really know, how do I supposed to connect his emotions and things like that? Okay, if you not really understand, let me give you another example. Okay, earthquake happened, your neighbors kind of like a died. Okay, yeah, and there is a kind of like a neighbors kind of like some parents is kind of like somebody cries because of that ki they are kind of like somebody father is kind of like a died in the earthquake and things like that. By the way, in the earthquake I lost my home. Like basically everything is collectively everything is actually wrong happened, entire neighborhood actually collapsed and things like that. So when this thing happened, everyone actually sad, but basically is this thing at that time I feel also really sad for that particular person because he lost his father in this earthquake. Okay, and he is actually happening in front of me. So basically I feel a little bit of sadness for that particular person. Okay, yeah. Yes, he is a father, there is a particular value not only for him, but as well as I understand he is his son, and probably what kind of like value that he hold for his father, I understand that. So I might kind of like feel a little bit of kind of like a sadness for that particular person. Yeah, that is really good. But in this particular context, let's just say compare another context that ki my friend had a breakup. Okay, yeah, he feel really sad. I don't really understand that feel because of that ki I never really understand what kind of like a time he spent with that particular girl, right? So even if I don't really have any kind of like a memories that my friend whatever the time that he spent with this girl, how do I supposed to know, how do I supposed to understand his grief? Definitely not. Okay, yeah, I would kind of like provide a kind of like a particular kind of like somebody say this thing that dude chill and things and that, but probably that is the most I could do. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. So that's why as also kind of like somebody existing loss of someone is kind of like somebody feel that I also not really connect. Let's just say my mother is actually died. Okay, yeah. No, I don't want to talk about this thing. I don't want to involve mother. Okay, let's just say there is someone guy who actually lost his mother. Okay, yeah. Like let's just say my friend is actually lost his mother. Okay, yeah. So basically, how do I kind of like understand that particular relation that he was actually been through? I understand he's his son, he's a kind of like a mother, and probably mother is actually lost and things like that. So I understand he's in actually a lot of pain, but probably is this in how much is pain I don't really calculate. Only that particular son can calculate that his mother is actually died. He understands the grief and things and that. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing, the connection between like I don't really understand their relationship. What is actually their relationship? How much intense or how much big or how much, I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. It is, yeah. So this is what kind of like assembly things happen. Okay, so that's why we can't kind of like can't really understand other people kind of like assembly pain and things like that. Now the question is that what if kind of like we could share the kind of like a grief collectively? Let's just say like a kind of like a birthday party, like a then probably then what would be that world? Like everyone kind of like assembly share their grief to someone else or things like that. Like can it kind of like can it kind of like provide a moral support or things like that? Yeah, it definitely gonna give the moral support, but still sharing means what? Okay, like let me give you the comparison. I went to birthday party, okay, or I went to concert. Okay, I didn't know anyone at all, still I'm really happy. Okay, yeah, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki in the concert everyone is not really actually sharing the happiness. No, like basically just say, let's just take an example. Okay, a practical example. Okay, yeah, let's just say I have a 10 kilo of happiness. Okay, a 10 kilo of happiness. Now if I'm gonna say I went to concert, I'm sharing my happiness because I'm getting the happiness, so I'm sharing happiness. So sharing means what? I'm kind of like sharing whatever the load that I'm sharing that load to someone else. Like let's just say I have 10 kilo of happiness, so I'm kind of like share 1 kilo of happiness to this person, then this person and this person and this person, so this person. So in remaining I have 1 kilo of happiness. Okay, yeah. So basically, before I have 10 kilo of happiness, which is far more bigger than 1 kilo of happiness. So my happiness is kind of like loss. No, definitely not. It doesn't really happen. No, when we went there, my happiness is increased. Like basically, at the moment, I might have kind of like 1 kilo of happiness, but when I was kind of like dancing and things and that, I might get almost like a 2 kilo, 3 kilo, 5 kilo, then 100 kilo of happiness that I'm getting. Okay, yeah. Okay, not I'm basically is this thing that I am getting, but everyone's are getting now. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, because of kind of like simply the concert, everyone are dancing and everyone thinks though everyone are getting the happiness. No one is actually sharing the happiness, na, because when you share the happiness, it eliminate na, it minus na. Okay, yeah. But in the concert, everyone are really happy na. So in so basically, it's this thing. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing. In the concert, everyone are getting really happy. So basically, the addition of happiness happened, na. Okay, yeah. There is no sadness happened. Like basically, is this thing. We are kind of like mentioned that ki in the concert we are kind of like sharing the happiness and things like that. But that is completely wrong. We are not sharing the happiness. We are kind of like getting the happiness. It's kind of like simply a positive annotation, like basically 1 happiness, 2 happiness, and 3 happiness. Okay, yeah. So basically in the concert, everyone are getting happiness. Okay, so if I'm gonna say that ki we could kind of like simply that ki collectively we could kind of like simply share the grief and things like that. So probably might be everyone are really cry and everyone just cry so much because yeah, right. So is this actually happened? Like let's just say funeral, and people at the beginning people have started crying very less, and like basically then after that, after a couple of hours, people are actually crying so loud, everyone actually cry and like is this actually weird thing happened, na? Right? So it's very different thing. Okay, I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing, but I just understand one thing. Okay, yeah. If I'm gonna say grief, like is the grief is a negative annotation? Yeah, grief, sadness is negative annotation. Happiness, good is a positive annotation, right? Yeah. I think that na ki a scientific point of perspective too. Okay, yeah. If I wanted to live longer, I need to be happiness. Is that true? Right? And basically medical is also really true too. Okay, yeah. If you are sad, your body is not meant to be kind of like a survive for longer period of time. You might kind of like sense the sadness and things like that, but if you are sad all the time, then you probably not gonna live forever. And if you are really happy, you gonna live more than that. And nature always kind of like support a survivor. Okay, support a person who is kind of like simply live longer. And happiness is kind of like simply emotion where kind of like simply people live longer. So nature actually support happiness. So that's why we could kind of like share the happiness so easily. But sadness is a kind of like a thing that cripple our mind from inside. So that's why nature or God is whatever the universe actually creates us that key. Yeah, because of happiness is kind of like simply make us people kind of like simply live the life much more bigger and better, so that kind of like a God gives us happiness so that you could share the happiness. But as well as the kind of like simply sadness and things like that, it's kind of like simply eliminate the people's life. So probably God decided that ki no, don't kind of like share the sadness. If the only person could kind of like share the sad, if the only person kind of like feel the sadness, only and only that particular person would kind of like feel the sadness. Not rest of the people will kind of like feel the sadness too. So that's why I think, I don't know, like basically I'm not kind of like that particular person. Okay, but this is kind of like that what I think. Like basically there is no kind of like a universal answer that why we could kind of like simply sharing the, why we cannot sharing the sadness, like happiness and things like that. This might be a kind of like some answer would be. But still this is just my opinion. Dude, it's been almost like 1 hour I'm talking. I'm really kind of like tired to talk right now, just like blah 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 blah. Whatever. This is just my opinion. Okay, yeah, by the way. All right, so this is what I think about grief and kind of like a summary. Yeah. All right, and thank you.